stop them. The only thing that they're trying to avoid right now, I do believe that martial law would be a great way in which, if there was an uprising or revolt or revolution that was not well planned, it would give martial law and Obama the power to rule from his throne without any question. However, what they are trying to avoid, and the reason why they're moving at breakneck speed, they could move more conclusively. They're just trying to avoid people coming out with the 250 million guns that are in the homes of America to overthrow this movement. But they believe right now they're in control, and there's absolutely nothing that can be done, nothing that can stop this global takeover and the amassing of global power into the hands of just a few people.
They really do think America and the world is done, and this is a scientific dictatorship. It's really happening. But if they don't think the public will go along with it, they will slow down. And the good news is their health care is in trouble. Their Copenhagen is in trouble. It's coming out, all the UN fraud, stuff that dwarfs ClimateGate on a daily basis now. Their flu hoax fell apart. And I think that's happening not just because the public's awake and angry and active, Reverend Manning, but because police, military, bureaucrats, people who are in there seeing this, they're quietly not going along with it. They're leaking information. They're saying no. And I think we're in very, very dark times, but at the same time,
I think what I'm very much aware of what you stated, how clear that is, that people within the military, within the police, within the structure of the government recognize what is happening. They have not been made a part of it. They will not be made a part of it. And for those reasons, a part of the process could be slowing down. I had one time thought that perhaps they may have lost interest in using Obama as a front man. The Copenhagen failure caused me to think a little bit, and I didn't have any conclusive evidence, that perhaps they thought that they would slow down on him and perhaps pick another person to be the leader of this group. But the other thing is that, I'm not sure that the American people understand. Well, what I would say is that perhaps what you're discussing right now we probably ought not to discuss, because there are a large number of people within the military who've been made aware of all of the conspiracies that are happening and this global takeover, and we might be putting them at jeopardy at some point.
Well, that's just it. That's just it. If you expose the program, which we've done with the alternative media, which is why they want to shut down and curtail the web and free speech, if you expose them and we're telling the truth, even if people don't wake up now, as it unfolds, they will wake up, because it's almost like prophecy. We have their game plan, and you lay it out beforehand, and then it happens as we say. That really gets people's attention, and I think that's what myself and many others and you, over the decades, getting the truth out, is devastating to them, because I say it every day because it's so true. Lies have to be reapplied constantly have to be reapplied over and over again. But the truth just burns through the lies. And so we've only got to wake somebody up. We've only got to show them how they've been lied to, and then they've opened their eyes to the larger fraud.
Well, where we are standing, if you look at what's happening in Europe and how Europe is being co-opted, and how they've lost all their sense of democracy and freedom of speech. And the last bastion, of course, was here in America. We were indeed the ideal. We were the city on a hill, if you will, in terms of democracy, freedom of speech, and the best kind of government and patriots of people interaction. That has all been curtailed now. The problem is that we've got a large number of people in America who actually believe that it should have been curtailed, and they voted for it in this recent election with Obama. And as you made mention of the fellow Dice, I think was his name in the earlier segment, that Californians are actually voting or believing that freedom of speech should be curtailed to some degree. What has happened is that there has been such a mind washing people through the media. A large part of the reason why we've gotten to where we are, and people are not aware of the Constitution, the schools have been stripped of teaching pro-Americanism, Constitution, democracy, the Bible. They've been stripped. The institutions have been stripped.
People have nothing, so they're an empty vessel to be filled. Let's go to some phone calls before we're out of time here. You've been gracious to spend this time with us. Pat in Ohio, you're on the air with Dr. Manning. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex and Reverend Manning.
Hello.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying about President Obama.
Same person.
Yeah, it is. But I think you've been a little too harsh when you say that, when you call for the execution of him if he's found guilty of lying about his birth certificate. Sure, he should go to jail or whatever, but to be executed, no. Even though it may be a law, I think that's a little too harsh. And if anybody needs to be executed, it should be President Bush. I mean, considering what he did on 9/11. He was involved in the 9/11 event, him and Vice President Cheney.
Well, again, but I'm not going to sit here and call for that. I don't want anything to happen to those guys because they're high-level puppets, and that'll turn the whole system into a victim when it's the victimizer. But, Pat, I appreciate your call. Let me get a comment from Dr. Manning on that.
Well, if the question is about capital punishment, that you would be adverse to that, then I can certainly appreciate it. But if it's simply about the severity of the crime, I think that the issue of the birth certificate may be the doorway, but the severity of the crime, what the illegal status has done, and the number of people that have been injured as a result of him coming to power in the illegal way might be a way you would want to consider that. Because if he's created great injury and been able to launch more wars and create more deaths, then you may think and may reconsider and say, well, it might be worth execution at that point. And then the other thing is that founding fathers established that so that people would understand that fidelity to this nation is absolutely critical. Do not betray this nation under any circumstance, or your life is at risk.
Let's talk to Julio in Illinois. Julio, welcome.
Alex Jones, Dr. Manning, Freedom Fighters. How are you this afternoon, gentlemen?
Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. I praise you for what you're doing right now. Quick comment then to my question. Startpage.com, everybody. Please read Alternative Futures for 2025. They have this thing called Gulliver's Travels, pretty much a prelude. It was April 96, a prelude to what's going on currently in Haiti. My question, you guys are talking about a protest, what we need to do. Everyone needs to know that we need to be peaceful in these actions. I just got done with my sociology class. My professor, God bless this man, he's a Christian. I believe everything is happening for a reason. He talked about Dr. King. I resaw his speech. In the beginning, he talked about he is collecting a debt, talking about the Constitution and how we are granted this freedom. We need to have a march on Wall Street. Everyone knows that the criminal offshore bank known as the Federal Reserve are looting us high and dry right in front of our faces.
All right, let me move on to his comments. We're about to go to break. Clearly, I believe in identifying the bankers as the real government, the real criminals, and bypassing the puppet presidents. Your take on that?
The Bible states the borrower is the servant of the lender. He who controls the money controls all of the honey. Well, he who controls the money controls the world, quite frankly.
So we go after the banks.
Absolutely. We must, the Federal Reserve, I think, not so much the banks. They are certainly a target, no doubt about it, and a very visible one.
I mean the mega banking structure. Sure, I don't mean your Mayberry Bank. You should support that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But the Federal Reserve, I think most people are unaware of how insidious the Federal Reserve is, how it was founded, what it does, and how it manipulates world governments. It manipulates, if you will, the growth of products and services in other nations. It must be exposed and dethroned.
We're going to come back, take 3 quick calls in the last segment with Reverend Manning. Isaac, Tracy, and Mark, stand by. We're going right to you after this break in the final segment with our guest. Then a big news blitz coming up at the bottom of the hour. Stay with us.
AirandAqua.com is your one-stop shop for some of the most affordable air and water purification systems available on the market today. AirandAqua.com knows exactly what doesn't belong in our air and our water, and they know exactly how to help you rid your home or office of these harmful toxins. Did you know that your skin actually absorbs more chlorine while you shower than from the water you drink? AaronAqua.com can help you eliminate dangerous chlorine from your water. AaronAqua.com carries atmospheric water generators, glass water bottles, chlorine-reducing shower filters, air purifiers, water ionizers, filters that remove up to 95% of the fluoride in your water, whole house water purification systems, solar-powered lawn and garden products, water testing kits, and more. Visit AaronAqua.com. That's Air and AQUA Aqua.com. Or call 1-866-380-2782. That's 1-866-380-2782. AaronAqua.com. Purify your life today.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really